have a look at the large and wonderful businesses that bring us these fabulous devices. We're going to start off with the biggest of them all, the biggest company in the world, in fact, Apple, which sells consumer electronics, software and personal computers, including iPhone 6s. We're getting to the iPhone 10 now, which is very exciting. That's coming out next year. It's the most valuable company in the world and has a market cap of $825 billion, a PE ratio of 18.19 and a dividend yield of 1.58%. So Apple's amazing because I was looking at the market shares and I think they've got about 14% market share, but it varies the opinions, but between 80 to 90% profit share of the smartphone market. I mean, that's just incredible.
Yeah, that's the that's an example of what I mentioned earlier. They play in that premium segment, so their phones are more expensive than everyone else's, and they have a very, very loyal following. So, I mean, okay, I still have an iPhone 5. People will find out about it on Instagram. But
what is that?
When I get a new phone, and I'm hoping to get one in November, I want an iPhone 8.
Is that the one you're going for?
Absolutely, because now I'm loyal. All of my photos are on the iCloud. I have Apple Music and I have built up a really nice playlist. I mean, all these kind of services.
So that Apple Music, you can download all the songs onto your phone and everything, but if you ever unsubscribe, you lose all that music.
Exactly.
So you're a customer for life.
I'm tied in forever, and so is everyone else who has an iPhone and uses Apple Music. So I think that's kind of where that niche lies, in services, and the fact that once an iPhone kind of customer, especially these days, you're probably going to stay an iPhone customer forever. So they benefit from that replacement cycle. Then, of course, they also have wearables and now the home device, because everything kind of connects to each other, if you have an iPhone, you want an iWatch or an Apple Watch, and you want a MacBook, right? So you want everything to be Apple because then everything speaks to each other. And that's kind of where their niche lies.
So, I mean, the share price sometimes moves around about releases on the iPhone because that's the big profit driver. I think it's north of 65% of profits. But there is a big shift now and to content. Recently, they struck a deal with Steven Spielberg. They plan on putting about $1 billion this year into content. So there's over 1 billion subscribers or Apple devices in use at the moment. So they can tap that user base.
Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of where you also get annuity income, because if you can get people to subscribe to these things, for example, Apple Music or some of the other content, I'm sure they're going to start with video
with TV shows
pretty soon, and TV shows. You kind of have someone who has almost like a debit order that goes off of their account every month. So I pay my 14 Rand, I can't remember what I pay for Apple Music.
For music, 50 Rand.
50 Rand? 14 Rand. I pay my 50 Rand every month.
I mean, a CD used to be 100 Rand.
Exactly.
Now you're paying 55 Rand a month or whatever it is, and you got access to every song you ever heard.
Yeah, and it's not a debit order that I really actually pick up or worry about. So that's kind of how they get you in there, and it's more annuity driven, so less dependent on these new launches. Although the share price does still move. I think ever since Tim Cook took over, the share price actually drops a little bit. Some say it's not as dynamic. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the plan, and I think it's working so far.
So are you hot or not on Apple?
So I think the rating is actually pretty undemanding given the future growth prospects, especially on this annuity income stream side of things.
And if you strip out the cash, I mean, north of $250 billion, which is sort of sitting all around the world. If you strip that out, the price to earnings ratio is a lot lower.
Yes, and they still need to invest that cash in some sort of a way. I actually read a stat earlier that said if they put out another feature phone, so another Apple, like let's say Apple 7 SE or Apple 8 SE, that is a 32% increase in their addressable market share. So there is scope for that. They just need to get over themselves a little bit and tap into that middle income space. So a lot of scope here, an undemanding PE. I'm hot on the stock.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, and you'll probably find that dividend yield will pick up. They are a lot more generous with their dividend. In fact, during Steve Jobs' era, they didn't pay a dividend at all. So both hot on Apple. It is in the hot stocks portfolio, so we do have good exposure there.